Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bagadon at Stock Market Caddy. It is Tuesday, October 7th. October 7th at about 1:15. We ran a little late. Pretty busy time of the year for us. Hope you're getting it done. Our beginning balance for the week was 34,100. Trading micro, no more than 5 micros at any one time. And we do have 5 micros. These 5 micros went in by machine um, late yesterday. We carried them into the evening, we carried them overnight, and here we be, and we're continuing to carry. So at the moment, which it's our prerogative, it's your prerogative, you can turn the programs down. You don't have to continue to, trade. You can, periodically, if you want to do a little holding or, get a little more patient on something, and you have some wood in the trade. It's early in the week. We got some wood in the account. We decide, you know what? Let's test things out. Things look a little like they want to come back, and that's what we're doing. So in the meantime, we're going to punch up. I'm sorry it's a little late. A little later than normal. We don't have a schedule, but we try to punch up anyways around 11 or noon most, um, days when we do punch up. And when I say punch up on YouTube. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. If you are an annual member and you want to know the specific program, the specific settings, just send me a private email. You guys got my contact, and I'll be happy to give them to you. All right, so we wish you the best. I do think this particular program, if you haven't been running it and haven't been working with it, now it needs to be worked. Um, but it is nice. I'm really enjoying it. Kind of rediscovered it on one of our more recent Q School students, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't worked with it for a while, and I like it. I like what it's been doing. So again, but it is something you have to, to work with and gain, gain your, confidence with. But we kind of like what it's doing. Any questions? Let us know, and we'll let you watch. We'll be back in a little bit. Okay, we will monitor the chat for any questions. When we look, let's just slide over. Can we do that? Let's intraday. Can we do it here? Yeah, we can't. Okay, we got that blacked out. But yeah, you can see what the market is. Yeah, she's bouncing a little bit here midday. Gold is continuing. Gold up over 4,000. Silver is pulling back a little bit. The all-time 40-year high on silver is 52 $52. I think silver will go there. I may not be, the next couple of days, may not be this week, but I do think silver is going to break 52. When it does, it's probably going to really shoot. So if you are already long silver, I mean, you might trim a little bit if you're able to, depending upon what you have. Because you are near the all-time high. This is like a 40-year high, right, in silver. But I would be a little patient because I do think if it punches through 52, you might get a parabolic move even more than what you've got on silver and on gold. And it's entirely possible on both of these that silver could do something, get above 52. I could see it going 60, 70, 80. I could really see it doing something crazy. And it's really not that crazy when you think about it and with what the Bitcoin has done and get to 100. Now, I wouldn't go, hog wild here and try to how I put this, put money to work on a position basis initially into silver because you just heard me say, oh, I might go to 100 because, you could get tested 25, 30%. I mean, it could pull back. It's rich up here. But if you're already in it, I think it could be a neat way to go. Um, and when it does, if it does go parabolic and you're in it, I would have a mindset, and you'll know when it's parabolic because everyone will be talking about it. You'll hear it on CNBC, you'll hear it on, all the magazines and everything. You'll hear it. That's when you want to pare it back. I wouldn't completely out. I wouldn't come completely out, but you might want to just pare back. Take a little bit, maybe original investment. I mean, we got people that have, more than doubled, maybe even tripled their money, on gold and silver, right? So that's not what we have here. We have 5 micros that are short this market, and we're just sitting on them like a big fat hen is sitting on them. Um, so we did the good for the week. It's Tuesday. I had to think about it for a minute. The account is 35.1. Yeah, so yeah, I don't like to count the money before the dealing's done, right? Before the week is done. But as we give it a quick glance, we're good trading 5 micros. We're good. 1,500 bucks through Tuesday. We're going to stay with it. But everyone else, when you're playing the game, you've got to decide, what you're playing for, when your goals have been met, and you gotta stop, kids, right? Please, right? If you're getting that dopamine rush, like, and you don't want to leave the casino, um, you need to stop. You stop, right? It's one of the biggest one. I got a number of concerns, but with our newest people, the biggest concern I have is not on the loss side, but is on the winning side. That they get that dopamine rush, and it can be addictive of sorts. So you don't want to go there, and you don't want to leverage up too soon. You really don't. The amount of leverage that we're using right here is probably about its intraday margin. We're talking about uh, what would be. It's kind of crazy actually. It's like 1,500 to 1,600 bucks in intraday margin. That's not much, right? Overnight margin it would be about 15 to 16,000, right? So which is would be fine for an account this size, right? But you've got to think through how you're going for your, folks that have smaller accounts. If you're starting out and you got $2,500, maybe you got to start out with just 1 micro, and you get onto a program, you get onto an approach, and you repeat it, and it's going to be small. You get your account from 2,500 to 3 grand, 3,500, and you've honed it, and you feel real good with the market, with your trading time, with your schedule, the tool that you're using, and then maybe when you get to 3,500 or 4 grand, maybe you go to 2 micros, right? That sort of thing. And we have a measurement of sorts, but you want to do the math, understand the margin using, understand your account size. Um, I don't think in round numbers, to be trading a mini. I know you can get it. Well, you can get a mini, on with as intraday with as little as you just think about it. Well, with a $5,000 account, I mean, you can get a mini on, intraday for like 3,300, right? I don't think that would be a very good idea though, because if you lose 500 bucks, which you could do, that'd be 10% of your working account. So that's not a good idea, right? So you just want to, go slow, gradually, boom, 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 and it accumulates. Trust me, it accumulates, and you get to learn a discipline. You get to learn yourself, and that's what you kind of want to shoot for, right? I can only describe it. Um, we have another tool. Let me see here. Do we have a blank? Um, well, we'll probably show it a little bit later. We have another tool that we have imposed on here. So for the benefit of our annual members, um, and I'm just still eyeing it still. I haven't used it in a while, and it's SMC Kickpoint. SMC kick point indicator. We get a few more people in the room a little bit later this afternoon. I might pull it up. If I don't do it today, I'll probably do it tomorrow. And I'll show you what it looks like, and I can show you how one might go about using it as an added filter. It has its own strategy in its own right, but I had it on another I had this screen on another view, so we got multiple monitors, and then I pulled up the kick point indicator on it, and it looked pretty easy, or it looked, I don't want to say easy, it looked pretty nice. If anybody's here who's an annual member and you have the kick point, it should have a look. It's a histogram, and it has green and red. And the green, of course, is going to be accumulation. Red is going to be distribution. You don't have to trade them both. It kind of looks to me like to be the tip of a match. So when it's red, you probably don't want to be long. And as the red kind of dissipates, get in the green, you might want to be favoring the long side. So it's just like one more, another little filter, and it's nice. I mean, I liked it, but so we're gonna let you watch. Any questions? Let us know. And we have 5 micros, so this is half of a mini, and that's plenty, 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 plenty on this. All right, so this signal came in. Yeah, this really turned down. The 5 minute turned down at almost 1 a.m. And that's so that's pretty much in line. We were a little bit short before, so we had a little bit of a draw, but we're looking good. Any questions? Let us know. Now that makes me a little concerned. I see a headline that Goldman Sachs, of all people, Government Sachs, has upped their price target on gold from 4,000 to 4,900. Ah, Jesus. I don't like to hear that. They did the same thing, I remember, with oil back in the early 2000s when oil went to 142, 143 a barrel. And they came out with, they do this all the time with peak oil, and oh, take it to the bank, it's going to 200. And it topped at one, literally top ticked it at 142, 143, and oil came all the way back to 20. It was something called peak oil. Those guys are horrible. I'm sorry. Um, a bunch of thieves. But be careful with that. This is what happens. You want to get into markets for position trades. You're going to make, if you're looking to do position trades and you're looking to invest for more than a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you can certainly use our tools. And there's a fundamental analysis that you need to do so that you feel comfortable. We suggest that you don't use margin so that you don't overdo it. But you got to get to the oasis before everyone else, like in the desert. You don't want to go to the oasis when it's real crowded with everybody else. When you're going there for position trade, because there won't be as much water to drink, and the lions might get you. So you try to go there, no one else is there, the lions aren't there, and you go to the oasis and you start drinking and you enjoy yourself. And then when all the other animals start coming in and getting crowding around, you might want to be thinking about, moving on. That's kind of, you know, it happens over and over again. Of course, all the other animals aren't out looking for the oasis. They like look down from the mountain. They see everyone else crowd. Oh man, there must be water down there. Let's get down there. I don't know what they've been doing, but that's that's the way I kind of think about it, right? Early bird gets the worm. The first ones to the oasis in the desert, they're gonna be the ones that get the drink. They're the ones that are gonna live to have a nice life out in the desert again. But if you're in here now trying to buy gold now, on a position basis, on an investment. I mean, if you're trading intraday, that's a different animal. But if you're thinking like, I think silver's a pretty good buy now. I mean, we were buying silver and suggesting silver, you know, around 24, $25 and saying like it was a no-brainer. I mean, it was. Um, but it's getting to a place now. I do think it's got higher to go, you know, but the people who come in late, they don't understand that, and they think they're going to come in late and plow in and set a 5 or 10% stop and be okay. That isn't going to be the case. When you come in late, you're not going to make as much, and you're going to have higher risk, higher drawdown. We're talking about a position trade, or an investment. Make sense? I hope so. Any questions, let us know. We'll be here. We have 5 micros on. The things looked really, really good last night, so we just said, we're going to just sit on them, and that's what we're doing here. So we've suspended. It's fine to do. You can do it. I suspended the automation, and we're going to try to sit tight on this. And I think we're going to, be here right to the close. And then we'll decide what we want to do if we're going to carry it into the evening. And we got plenty of horsepower. 5 micros during the day is about $1,500 to $1,600 in margin. Overnight, you're looking at 15, 16 grand. So it's not a problem. Any questions? Let us know. Good afternoon, everyone. Bag it on here. Let me tell you what's going on. Our beginning balance for the week was 34,100, trading 5 micros, right? And so, just in round numbers, we had a run up of 7 or 800. We pulled back a little bit. I think we may have even gone underwater a little bit, not much, last night. And then we made a decision to suspend the strategy. I was okay with it. I mean, she punched up, 7 or 800 on Sunday night. But we decided that from a risk reward basis, it might be best just to sit tight on the 5 micros, which is what we did. I think the program is doing fine if you were shadowing it, letting it run for short periods of time. Any annual member, by the way, that passes by and wants to know the settings, don't hesitate. And a little bit later today, if we have folks here, we'll show you. Let me just get a peek here. We're not getting a good count. It's saying there's a couple of people here, but let me just give you a view here. Let me try to do something here if I can. There is another tool that we like to use, or we've had it for some time. Let me go get it. Bear with me. Hang with me here for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to copy window. All right, and let me place this in here, see if I can do this. Paste window. Now, some of our Zoom writing might interfere with this, but we'll let this populate. It's the exact same chart, but it has, yeah, there it is. So this is a one of our studies. This is a proprietary study of ours, and we haven't talked about it much online, but it's called Kickpoint. Kickpoint, and I have it set as a default. The default settings. One could speed it up, slow it down. And this is the way. It's really nice, I think, to have a view. Let's see. I don't know where my kind of weird. I don't see my tool here. I'm being blocked by, so I can't manipulate this as well as I want. But yeah, it's come in at a different size. So, but the idea here is it almost looks like a match tip to me, the red being the tip of the matchstick, right? So it is something that you might want to, if you have a market, that is, buy, even like gold, is when you get red, you don't necessarily have to short it, right? You just don't want to be long. And then as the red starts to dissipate, it's a momentum indicator. As it starts to dissipate and move to green, then when you're under a green flag or under green, you might not want to take any shorts and just keep taking all the buys, is the idea. So when I look at something like this right here, right now, you can see the red kind of dissipating. And if I was trading it this actively, maybe I would have taken this buy and maybe even kill any shorts. I'm not going to kill that because I have a larger view, right? So I'm not trading it. But this is SMC Kickpoint. The indicator is SMC Dual Fairway. The strategy is SMC Dual Fairway. Annual members, you want to know the exact settings of the chart, of the of the strategy. You just let me know. But I'm going to throw us back, right? And here we have it properly sized. The daily, and also on this chart we can see it. Here is the daily pivot information. So let's see if we can get it here. The daily pivot. Here it is. Let me see if we can get it. There it is. The daily pivot is 25,143.92. That's based on the previous day. So we have a price chart, but we're able to process the daily candle from before. You can see this little guy running, right? So you can make some nice little trades with that kick point. Try to help filter. When we're down in here, when we're this is the S2, S1 pivot point, and the R1, R2 are way up here someplace. So when you're trading, intraday, and I'm between S1 and S2, yeah, I'm going to be more inclined to want to take some of the buys. I just am. And but I'm doing something a little bit different up here. That's me. I have a little larger view that I'm going to try to do. Be a little patient with the market test out here. Probably going to be the wrong thing, and I may end up having to cover that trade, and it'll be what it'll be. But so we have a lot of different tools, and of course you have swing machine. So we got pivot information. We've got the dual fairway. We got the strategy, and we even have kick point. For the filter. All of these things take time, and you have to work with them and work with your own trading skill as well. So in any case, we're going to get out of the way. We're going to just sit tight on this. The 5 minute has been short, so there's been a whole lot of trades, right? But the 5 minute swing machine has been short since, a little bit before 1 a.m. And so we're gonna try to stay with that. That makes sense? All right. Have fun. Any questions, let us know, and we'll be here. I'm sorry about that. My mic was off. I had pushed a sneeze button, and um, and my mic was off. So what we're showing is the exact same chart that we saw over before, but this is our one of our other proprietary indicators called SMC kick point. And the idea is that of course when you see red, you might not want to do any buying. Yes, aggressive traders could be maybe taking on the short side. Maybe you're shorting 2 micros and going long 4, that sort of thing. So for instance, like over here we get a buy signal, and yes, we're in red. Maybe you wait, or maybe you say, you know what, maybe the selling has dissipated, and I do take that buy signal. And then when you get the short signal up here, you see there is a little short signal right in here. See it right there? Maybe you don't take it short because we are all green. Right? Maybe you don't take it. And if you get a buy signal, maybe you do take it, right? Something to practice with. It's just another tool, and we will use these tools incrementally, right? You don't want to throw everything onto a screen and get paralysis by analysis. So you get good with one little thing, and then get better, and then introduce a little something, right? And this is something that we've had for some time, and I do like it on a number of different tools, right? And it can help. It most definitely can help. Let's go here. So we come back here. Now this is what you've been looking at. And here is, so this doesn't have the kick point on here, but here is the daily pivot for today. And let's see if we can show it to you. It shows us the R1. I got to get it so you can see the pivot. There, the pivot point is 25,143. And where are we? I think we're right on it. Right about there. We're about 100 points. We're right. No, excuse me. That's the S1. We're not on. The pivot is up here at 143. We're right on the S1. And this is S2. And we're having a hard time, as you can, you just kind of read with us here. We broke underneath the pivot point earlier today, and then we literally bounced off the S1, get under it, rallied off, and we're just jammed up on this S1. And that's where the other tool could be helpful. Swing machine could be helpful. Are we going to say goodbye to this area and make a run down to the S2? We might, and that's what we're thinking that we might do. So that's why we're still sitting on those 5 micros. However, if this finds support and they don't want to sell it down, we got to be careful because we don't want to give up all those profits. We could make a run right back up to the pivot, which is 25,143.92. So this pivot information is coming from the daily candle charts, all those candle readers out there. That's, even though we're not using daily candles here, that pivot information comes, and that's the beautiful thing here, is coming from the daily view. So the idea is that if you think about this, what would be a good analogy? Let me think. It's just that you have two vantage points, right? Maybe someone else has a good analogy. But it's just an overlay, right? So you get to see at a glance, you can see what the daily trader, the daily swing trader is looking at or feeling or thinking, because they pay very close attention to that daily pivot information, and their algorithms pay attention to that too. And of course, there's weekly, but for right now, we just stay with the daily. So when we can see what they perceive to be important, and then we drop down, right? So this might be like looking through binoculars, right? This is like now using a microscope, a much closer resolution, right? So that's when you begin to layer this stuff. So it could get, like, if I had to go to another screen and look at a daily screen and interpret that and then jump over here and trade. And, it would get hairy. It would get kind of confusing. So we can do that, and we can do that in other ways too. You can have multiple data streams coming into an intraday chart, so then you can get really, really precise. Make sense? All right. So we're just stuck here. We're stuck on this S1. If she gets to, it's 234. We got a nice fat one here. I'm not going to let that thing run back up to the pivot. I won't. But I'm going to try to stay with it because we can also see on other price charts, not daily per se, although the daily looks really extended too, but we can see on other price charts like Point and Figure or Renko that it appears to us that this thing does in fact want to run away from this S1, and I think at minimum we could get down to the S2, and I think it could happen today. So I'm gonna kind of sit on it. I might be wrong, right? But we will have a profitable day one way or the other, and that's about the extent of it. Right? I don't really give a lot of this too much thought. Now, last night where we were, or since I can kind of sum up our trading for the week. We start out on Sunday night. We run the dual fairway overnight. She deposits from overnight from maybe 7 or 8 o'clock on Sunday night to 9:30 Monday morning, $800, trading 5 micros and a profit factor of I think it was around 2. I think it was around 1.92. Then on Monday, it was kind of a grind, right? And we had a couple of stop losses get hit, and the account ended up coming almost all the way back, if not under a little bit. What I mean by all the way back, our beginning balance was 34,100, and we got up to maybe just under 35. And then she came all the way back. And then last night, she trips off and she goes short again, 5 micros. And then we got profitable a little bit. And then I did something that I do like to do. And I will do it almost every week. But not necessarily every day. It has to set up for it. And what I'll do, I had some wood in the trade, and I went in and set a stop loss on a matrix on the matrix. I suspended the automation, and I just set a stop loss, and then just let it run overnight. And we were nice, fat, and profitable. I'm like, okay, let's just stay with it, and I more or less have a break even mentality on this now, and we're okay. I mean, 5 micros. It's Tuesday. We're up 1,400. And now I'm going to keep playing, but you don't have to keep playing. You don't have to keep playing for the day. You don't have to keep playing for the week. We can, we have multiple markets, multiple accounts, multiple things we're doing, and it'd be up to you. Trading 5 micros, and you pick up 13, 14, 1,500 in a couple of days. Good for you. Shut it down. Go do something else. Just go do something else. Learn to do something else. Your trading will improve. It absolutely will. It will. You'll be more hungry and more eager when you come back. And the other thing is that I can only describe to you, if you haven't experienced it yet, this does happen. Let's say that you did this and you're up 1,500 and it's Tuesday at 2:30 and you shut down. Now you got to go find something else to do for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By the time Sunday and Monday rolls around, you're going to be more eager to trade than if you kept trading all the way to Friday. You just will be. But the other subtle distinction is this. What happens is you will remember that the week before you were able to get done by like Tuesday afternoon. And so what happens is you're more eager to start, but you're also more patient because you know that, and maybe you just watch the market, but you say, like, I made my money by Tuesday and I stopped. And, if I had been a little more patient, I could have got that big fat trade. I could have got that big fat trade, that sort of thing. So I think it helps with your overall trading health and to quit early. And it is cheating. The casinos won't let you do it, but you can do it in trading. All right, so we're going to let you watch. It is pushing about 239. If I intervene and decide to, to cull it off, I'll let you know. And and it looks. Let's go look at our little kick point. See the kick point? Kick point triggered right here, and at this point, kick point does want to go. Does want to go, and it's interesting here. We just got a short signal on the dual fairway, so a little conflict, but maybe you don't take it. Maybe you don't take it, right? Maybe don't take these shorts here. You'd have to practice. Um, you don't want to put too much on. That again you get paralysis by analysis, and but and when you're running a trading robot, you might run it for an hour or two and it's totally doing its thing. And then you might suspend it or put it in confirmation mode and then you interact with it. On another side of the coin, you might place the trades mechanically and then, get up a certain amount and then say, you know what, I'm going to turn the robot on. So I guess what I'm trying to describe to you, I wouldn't have an expectation that I'm always going to be in there with my hand on the mouse trading, or I'm always going to have the program running like an oil derrick. I mean, there are times when we do, but not all the time, right? Because the market, will, and a lot of it has to do with volatility, and there are other tools that we can use to measure that. But so when like, okay, maybe I have to bring in my expectations, right? All right, so I'm gonna shut up, let you watch. Any questions, let us know. But we're gonna sit tight. 5 micros short. Let's see if we can run up the score here a little bit. Okay, so we're going to step in here and we're going to, under the short signal, just going to layer in, we can do it with intraday margin. I'm going to layer in two more here. We're going to add to a winner, and but we're going to play it tight. We're going to play it tight. So I'm going to go do it manually, and that's going to give us 7. Intraday margin is plenty. Let's make sure we get this right. I'd like to see a little bit of selling on the 1 minute swing, so maybe we just wait a minute or two. Pushing 3 o'clock. Maybe not yet. Let's show you a kick point. Slide over here. His kick point, right? She bottomed out here and has been buying ever since. We still don't have anything on the 1 minute. 1 minute is still up. Okay, so we still haven't added. We still have the 5. These 5 went on last night, and we've been on them all day. 5 micros. We're positive for the week, so I don't want to put on any undue pressure here. She's just not. And this is the daily pivot from yesterday. Here's the pivot. Here's the S1, and she's just jammed on it. She's just stuck on it. So now we got to be careful because in the last hour of the day, and I'm got to think this through here a little bit. Anybody who got short earlier in the morning and piled in, and they're over leveraged, they got to close, and they might say, hey, if this is it, then we get a cheap ass rally, and so I want to be careful that I don't, add at the wrong time here and put undue pressure on us. We're profitable for the account for the week, trading 5 micros, no problem. Would be actually a fine week, for trading 5 micros to have a net of roughly $1,400. But we're going to see if we can do a little bit more. But I just want to see the dual fairway strategy. The last signal there is a short. It is a short, and but I don't see any on the 1 minute. I don't see any selling here right now. So I better wait. I'm doing this manually, doing it mechanically. This other tool, I have been watching it. We've had it for some time. This is called Kick Point. It's a momentum indicator in and of itself, and it can be used on a lot of different things. The way I like to use it is, it kind of looks like a match tip to me, like the tip of a match. Aggressive traders, yes, you could be shorting as you descend down and certainly get into red. But what I like to do is see if you have a market that is persistently going up, which is a lot of these markets, is when you're red, then maybe don't take any buy signals. Like if you got a buy signal here, maybe don't take it. that sort of thing. And here you got a buy signal. This was the last one, and maybe you interpret this to be okay. Well, maybe the selling is subsiding, and I can ride it. So then over here, you got a short signal here. Maybe you don't take it, right? Because you're all green down here. And equally here, we got that short signal here, and we got nothing. What I want to see is, I'd love to see this, start to sell off here, but we better wait. But don't and kick point is actually generating buy and sell signals in its own right. You can see these little plots here. Um, but what you don't want to do is just start adding a whole bunch of stuff that you're not comfortable with. I mean, I would try to trade kick point in and of itself. I would try to trade dual fairway in and of itself. Get really comfortable, and then when you whatever it is, and then add very, very judiciously anything that you might want to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll add the two. I'm going to do it right here. We're getting a little bit of selling on the 1 minute, so I'm going to take a shot and we add two. Now these things got to come out because I don't want to carry this much margin um, overnight. So the idea is, let's see if we can get back underneath this S1. Can we break down, between now and 3:30, and then we'll cull them. We'll buy the cover and regroup. We'll see. We'll see how we make out. I wouldn't necessarily don't follow me, right? That's not going to do you any good. I mean, you can watch, you can root for me, but don't follow. That's not going to do it. Even if you make a couple of shekels, it would be great. But it's not why we do this. It's not what we're doing. And it's not going to serve you long term. You make a couple of bucks, but it's not going to serve you long term. With your trading bot, I think I can trade emotionless. Well, Jay, we certainly hope so, right? That's what you need to get to. You do, and we talk about it all the time. It's it's a beautiful state to be in. What we want to do, what you're aspiring to do, is we want to minimize the emotions of greed and fear. When you are trading just the money, oh, I made 1,300, better take it. Oh, okay, I feel good. I lost 500, I better come out. When you're doing that sort of thing, you're trading greed and fear, and you will lose over time. It'll drive you to drink. You won't have a very good trading life. It'll be miserable, quite frankly. Now, we do pay attention to P&L, but it's just that we're not making decisions purely on P&L. We're not. And we're using Swing Machine, and we're using these other mechanical tools. There's quite a few of them. We try to describe them to you. We have a library of them. We spend a few weeks with you, and you can spend that time however you want. We have an agenda that we want to cover, but you can spend it any ways you want. And then when you get the machine teeing them up, then what we want to be doing is maximizing our time, maximizing our capital, and maximizing our profit. But what I want to dissuade Jay of, or anyone else, do not watch this, no matter the outcome. And I hope it's a good outcome, but I don't know yet. I don't know. But I think it's going to be okay. I think so. We'll keep you posted. If you have the impression that you're going to just subscribe or become a member to Stock Market Caddy and get all these tools, and they're just automatically going to print you money, then I don't think that would be the right thing to think. It is an acquired skill set, and you need to learn, you need to work with them. And even when we have the program on, so this particular program I ran overnight on Sunday, and it deposited completely on its own $800. On Monday, we run the same program, I'm here, and sucks it all back away. Okay, that sucks, but I've been there, done that. It's early in the week, that happens. That happens. Then the program puts us in, puts us up, where we're profitable for the week, and then I have an opportunity where I think a larger opportunity has come into view that wasn't there on Sunday night, wasn't there necessarily on Monday, but it does come in, and I have the acquired skill set to know, I'm like, yeah, this is looking really good. Then what do? I can suspend the strategy, set a more or less of a break even stop, and let her run as we've done. And Swing Machine, by the way, confirmed that interpretation, because at 45 minutes past midnight, which I probably was up for, quite frankly, that's when she went short up here. The reason why it's up 3,200 and we're only up, 14, 1,500 is this is a mini contract and we only use 5 micros. So you also need to learn to use your margin proportionately and effectively. You cannot. One of the biggest mistakes that people do is they over leverage. Whether they have a small account or even a large account, you can have $100,000 in your account and still be undercapitalized if you over leverage. And that's the biggest mistake that people make. They over leverage. I'm going to get it all done right here, right now, and put themselves under pressure. That's not good. You just don't want to do it. Right? There's no reason to do it. And to that extent, that's also an acquired skill set. You don't always have to play long and short. You can play just long. You can play just short. You're going to do better if you play just long. Almost anything and everything, quite frankly, unless you're maybe trading nat gas. That's like in a perpetual short stage. You don't have to use the same margin on the long and the short. If you do go long and short, you don't have to be like 5 micros long and 5 micros short. You don't have to do that. You could go 5 micros long and 2 micros short. And adjust things. A lot of filters available and time frames. In the beginning, it may seem confusing, but and we have a multitude of tools. When you settle in on something, you are probably about 15 to 20 trades away from maybe changing your entire trading life. Because once you have it, you have it. And you want to keep score by using the profit factor. Because like last week we had a day where, I think we made like $500 or $600 and the profit factor was 1.8, and that was fine. The next day we only made like 177, I think the number was, and the profit factor was, in trading micros, and the profit factor was 2.1. So on the day that we made less money, we actually traded much better. Profit factor. We got a message from one of our members that's been with us for some time now, David in Germany. His profit factor, because he sent a note on some things and about this strategy actually, and he's been with us for years. And it's like, Don, what settings are you using? What are you doing? So he hadn't been ready, and he's going to do it on a different style of chart. And I just asked him. I said, how's your trading been, David? And he said, oh, not bad, Don. I had a profit factor last week of 29. 29. So if David had lost $100, he made 2,900. Right? That's what that means. If he lost $1,000, he made 29 grand. And it's probably 29 grand or higher. Right? I ask him not to tell me the money because, I don't want to get bummed out. Some of our folks trade much, much bigger leverage than me. Right? So I just tell me the profit factor. Don't bum me out. If I only make 4 or 5 grand in a week and you come in and you tell me you made 30 grand or 100 grand in a week, I'm going to feel like shit. Kidding. I'm not going to feel like crap. I'm going to feel great. I love to hear that. But we keep score with the profit factor. Because you can make a lot of money but not be trading real well. Right? You could have a real narrow profit factor, and I would say, hey, you better be careful because, you're just one slip. You're just maybe just a couple of trades away from getting a real good punch in the nose. Be sure to visit stockmarketcaddy.com Unlimited membership is a monthly. You get to see the algos every night, and it's month to month. Don't like it, you can drop. You like it, you can stay. When you join as a monthly, you get you let us know a particular day. We'll connect with you for an hour in the morning, give you the cook's tour, and you can hang out the rest of the day on a live view, a live feed. If you're interested in getting these tools on your desktop, the first thing you need to know is, can I get TradeStation? Because our tools will only work on TradeStation. So if you want to be an annual member, you want to get that ironed out. But understand, the first time you join or wanting to be an annual member, you can't join to be an annual member. You can't even do that today. You've got to go through what we call a Q School. We got to spend at least a few weeks with you, showing you most of the tools, maybe not all, but most. We don't hide anything. If there's something in particular you want to see, we'll show it to you, and then give you a chance to, and ideally you have TradeStation, because then we'll send you some of the files. You get a chance to work with them. After a few weeks, you're going to have a really good idea who we are, what we're about, and what the tools are capable of. And better yet, hopefully, you'll have a better idea of where your learning curve is, where you are, what you're going to need to do. Some people will roll, right into it, and others will have to work at it. It just depends upon where you're at, and you will define that. If you become an annual member at the end of the Q School, we're going to give you back 30% of the cost of the Q School. If you do it, right on the heels of it. It saves you time, saves us time. If you come back later, if you decide, hey, I'm not going to do it right now, then I'll come back in a few months, there's no discount, because you're going to have to work that much harder, and we will too. But that's how we structure it. Every year after that, as you renew, you never have to go through Q School again. That's it. You still need to be a monthly member if you're costing this out, but your annual membership drops to $3,500, and we give you 1 month free for every year you've been with us going forward too. So the gentleman David in Germany, he's been with us. Well, he's been with us several years. So his effective cost, his cost is $3,500. But his effective cost is $1,750, right? And last week he had a profit factor of 29. I say, and if he lost 100, he made 2,900. If he lost 1,000, he made 29,000. And if he did something bigger, so he probably did. He probably made, in a week's time, probably made about 30 grand. He's had weeks where he's done, and that's no big deal to him. See let's go. I have it on another screen. Here is a kick point. Licky, see the little red match? So I can see that on another screen. So this short now is starting to kick in, hopefully. So we'll keep an eye on it. If it doesn't sustain itself and turns green on me, I might just cover the whole trade and call it a day. So right now I have not 5, but I got 7. But I do need to, I don't want to carry that much after hours. Not at all. I may only carry a couple micros. But yes, David has had weeks where he's had a profit factor of over 100. And so if he lost $100, that means he made 10 grand. If he lost 1,000, it means he made over 100 grand. And we have certainly had a number of people do that sort of thing. But they're experienced, right? They're experienced, and they're confident in what they're doing, and they have the capital, they have the time, they have the skill set, and they understand what it is they're doing. Make sense? All right, we'll let you watch. Any questions, be sure to push the like button, helps us, and push the notification button, because we try to punch up around 11 or 12, maybe not every day, every other day, so to speak. Of late it's been almost every day. But it could be at night. And if you want to get notified when we punch up, if you push that little bell on YouTube, you want to set the settings. By the way, we're broadcasting in high def, which is the best image we can generate. You're on delay because of YouTube. That's not us. And was I going to say? But if you set your settings in the highest def possible, we're broadcasting in 1080p. So if you set it at 1080p, you'll have a much better image. The speed that's coming through, TradeStation sends these signals at 10 milliseconds. You can't get it any faster. Um, we think we're getting it with the speed that we have. We think it's arriving on our desktop like at between probably 12, 15 milliseconds. There are 1,000. There is how we put it. There are 1,000 milliseconds in a second. The blink of an eye is 400 to 600 milliseconds. So it's pretty fast. Um, YouTube has a built-in delay of 40 seconds, about 40. So that means 40,000 milliseconds. That's not tradable. So that's, we don't broadcast anything over YouTube for trading purposes, right? But you want to get, the best technology you can, but that's as fast as you can go. Can't go any faster than 10 milliseconds. Now, if you Citadel, and you get in the order flow, and their machinery's probably trading less than a millisecond, half a millisecond. Then we're not doing that. We don't have that technology. We're not collated next to it, and they're not doing it. And by the way, those folks are not doing it with futures. I do not believe, but they are doing it with options and maybe with stock. Yeah. So again, we have now 7 micros, right? 10 micros would be a full mini. And we have intraday margin available to us. But I won't be carrying all that after the close, right? So I'm looking, we're at 320, so we're giving this a shot to turn down here. We got the 1 minute swing machine is turning down, so we can see what the 1 minute traded. The 5 minute has been short since 45 minutes past midnight. You can see that. And if you had gone short there, you'd be up 3,300. But what you have to do is we're gonna show you much of the tools, but you've got to start working toward making decisions. See, because if you're going to make decisions off the money, then you might as well not have any tools. Just trade the money. Let me know how that works out. You just don't use anything. It's like again, we draw these same comparisons, other people hearing it, ad nauseum, but it's kind of like flying a plane. How hard can that be, right? I'm going to fly the plane. So I get in the plane, I can see the horizon and I can see everything and I fly the plane. No big deal. But but that's an acquired skill, and you want to learn to fly the plane when you can't see the horizon. You're going to be that much more comfortable. John F. Kennedy, assumed that he had the necessary skill to fly out to the islands in the middle of the summer off of Cape Cod, and then just crazy to even think about because he lost sight of the horizon, he lost sight of the coastline, he couldn't tell up from down, down from up, he got vertigo, he panicked, they probably panicked, just an absolute shit show in that airplane. People can do that trading. You can get vertigo. You can't tell up from down, down from up. I think it's doing this. I think it's doing that. They call that listening. Pilots refer to it as listening to your inner ear. Now I'm not a pilot, but I love listening to podcasts of pilots. I love talking to pilots. We have some pilots in the neighborhood, and I listen to what they have to say, and they as well. I mean, they look at their gauges. But it's a glancing look, right? And we're doing the same thing. I mean, I can be talking with you. I mean, the plane. We're just cruising along. It's just another day. You know, it's just another day. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about, shortly I got to get my Goldens to the dog park, and it's just another day. No big deal. We're not going to get it all, you know. And but everything looks good right now. We've got. I'd like to see the 5 minute VIX coming up a little bit more. The 1 and the 5 minute are selling down on Swing Machine. It's not trading here. We're the dual fairway has got us in a short mode. The kick point is telling us that the upside momentum may have just topped out. That's whoops. Hey Ted, don't see. God, Ted, he just he hits my arm, my elbow. See, no, Ted. He heard me mention the PARK. He can spell too. So right here, see, okay, she may be topping out. And a lot more can be discerned here too. You can begin to learn to use momentum, right? So this is actually pretty good momentum on this last run. I would have loved to have seen her run up and the momentum die off here. Like here, there was little to no momentum, and then she just dumped. Yeah, little less momentum, and then she dumped. I'm looking, I'd like to see another dump. I don't know if we'll get it here today. Um, you need to understand, and I say this in the nice way, so please don't let me, that probably didn't sound very nice, but I'm saying it to myself. I need to understand. I need to remember when you're trading like this, it's all machines, kids. It's all machines. It's always been machines. And those machines are pushing and pressing, looking for buyers and sellers from other machines. Okay. CNBC is for the fanboys. Okay. Reddit, Discord, and all that nonsense, even the Twitter sphere, that's for the fanboy bullshit. We're not doing that. Okay. I am a grown man. I'm not from Wall Street. I'm not from Madison Avenue. I spent 25 years of my career teaching surgeons how to do surgery, and I've been doing this with my wife Susan for the last, 15 to 20, and I'm not doing it just to waste time. I'm not. Um, but I'm not on Reddit. I mean, what a bunch of that. I'm sorry if you're listening to any of that crap. Good luck. Good luck. you know, Crypto this, crypto that. Um, that's fine. We can trade crypto here. If that's what you want to do, you can trade anything here, and you can use these tools to invest. We can use these tools for options. We trade options too, right? We punch up here. We're primarily showing the Nasdaq day in and day out because it's the most, you know, well, folks have the most interest in it. And if you can trade the Nasdaq successfully like this day in and day out, you can trade anything, because it is crazy. It is batshit crazy. I'll give you that. Nobody is more cynical than me, and I am the most ignorant person in the market today. The most ignorant. I will arm wrestle you for that right. All you guys know much, much more than me on these markets, and everyone else does too. And I want that. I want that mantle. The reason being is I don't want to have a preconceived attitude or notion or instinct that this market is going to necessarily do this or that over whatever period of time. I don't need that. I don't trade that. I don't want that. And when you start to settle in on this, the only way I can describe this is it's kind of, when you really do settle in, it just becomes so meditative. I mean, it's just like, it's very quiet. I can stand up, I can go to the mailbox, I can get on a treadmill, I can have lunch with my beautiful wife. I don't have to travel anymore. I don't have any paperwork to speak of. I don't have any employees. I don't have to babysit any of that bullshit, right? I used to have to do that years ago, right? Um, I don't have any of that. It was fine at the time, and but this is a beautiful way to go, right? And let's just think we start here at 34.1, but and so I don't like to count the money before the dealing's done, right? You don't, that's not a good thing to be doing, but I'm just saying as an example. So let's say we have a net of, what, 1500 here. Well, if you have five other accounts that you're trading or five other markets, and you pick up a point in each one, okay, that's, 5 grand a week. Not bad. Um, there are 24 trading days in the month. 24. If you trade every single day, which I don't think is a good idea. So let's take Fridays off. Now we're down to 20. So I'm just trying to break it down. If you net $100 a day for 20 days, you'll have an extra 2 grand. Maybe you do that for 6 months. And you do it successfully for 6 months, guess what? You're going to have an extra 12 grand in kitty. And that's going to free you up to trade a little bit more margin. And then you do it for the next 6 months. And then maybe you're not making $100 a day, you're making 200. Oh. So now suddenly you're making 4 grand a month, right? Do that for 6 months. Now you get 30, 40, thousand in your account. Increase the margin a little bit. A little bit. Right? And you can do the math from there. However, I had a call, and I ask everybody this, what their expectation is. And so this gentleman was from Albania. Imagine that, Albania. This is how small the world is. And we got to be talking, and he was talking to me about Reddit and Discord and yada yada, and he was talking a pretty good game. But the problem is he had no game. He had no experience, really. He really didn't. But apparently he had some money. So that's a bad combo. A lot of money with no experience, and sometimes. And so I asked them. I said, "Well, what's your?" Well, I take it back. His trading account, he didn't have a whole lot, right? He didn't have a whole lot. It was small. I wouldn't say, but it was on the smaller size. And I asked him. I said, "How much money do you need to make in a month?" And he said, like, um, how did he put it? It was like, 3 or 4x. I'm like, 3 or 4x. I don't. I'm like, what do you mean, 3 or 4x? Oh, I want to triple or quadruple. It was a ridiculous thing. His whole account every month. I'm like, oh, okay, that's all. All right, nice chatting with you. I mean, you don't. That's not what we're doing here. We're doing it incrementally and doing it over time. If you're trying to go in, Nigerians seem like nice guys. I know they got the nice videos and they want to bang, five bagger, and you can get that sort of thing with options, but you can also come up snake eyes over and over again with options. We do trade options, and we do pretty well, and you can do very well, but we don't trade options real active, and we don't trade them intraday. Too much work, too much pain in the ass, and they're not, by and large, not that liquid for us. Although they might be for you. I'm not, but you certainly, you could use these tools. The only problem is, see, like, if this tool went short on the NQ at 45 minutes past midnight, which it did right here, you can see, how are you going to get that? Because I don't think there's any options available. Maybe there are today, but they may be really thin. There might be some platforms that'll let you get an option in, but so let's go take a peek at. We'll just slide over here to look at the kick point, and so kick point is showing us a little bit of a red tip. We just want to see, and if we can just get down. Now the question will be, like, if and when we do come down, do we come down as low? Like right in here, I would have been a little bit concerned with this move. I'm not sure we were, well, we were in it, but we didn't trade it. But what I mean by that is we have the descent And I'd be looking like over here and be like, wow, we're not accelerating, are we? We really, but then we did, right? Then okay, we flushed, and then we got down in here, and it's probably, you can begin to see these little matchstick tips, and you can say, okay, well, if you put your cursor right on there, yeah, probably done. So I'll wait for the next buy signal, and pick it up. Once again, though, the momentum all day here hasn't. We're really kind of at peak momentum here, but I'm just running out of time. It's 3:33, so I got some decisions to make, and I'm going to lighten the load. Um, so we're short. I'm going to buy. Okay, so we just oops, I'm in the wrong window. And so now we have just 4 micros, which is still more than enough, right? And we'll see if we can take them in, and then I'm probably still going to knock them down, and we'll regroup and do it again, either later tonight or probably tomorrow. We've been had plenty of market exposure, and then now tomorrow will be Wednesday, right? So my mindset changes a little bit. We're going to be positive for the week, decent week, not an outrageous week. One account, one market here. Um, and then what I'll begin to start thinking of is like, oh, I just want to put a little icing on the cake, right? I'll be prepared to be opportunistic, but I just don't want to. I got to hold ground. I don't want to come in with excess leverage and give it all back. I got to hold ground. And realistically, our trading might be done. It might get done tonight. It might get done tomorrow, and then Thursday and Friday, I got to find something else to do. Now we got other positions, things for me to do. Trust me, but you get the idea. In the beginning, as you're starting out, maybe you will have other things to do, and you'll. Does that make sense? Let me. And fortunately for me, and I do understand this, there was a time when I'd want to race back to the office, and then I'd be trading, and my last guy who was a boss or whatever, he was driving me crazy with conference calls. Do you ever have one of those guys? Oh, I was very fortunate. I had really, really good bosses through my career, at all different levels. So I never got to be the CEO, and that's fine. Didn't want to be. Not saying that I had the talent to do, but I had different levels, and and I always had real, for the most part, really good people. But the last guy, what a dud! It was talking about finishing the career. I was like, oh my god. We would have, I kid you not, we would have conference calls about conference calls. It was nuts. And so we'd all be listening to this guy go on and on and on about conference calls, and we're texting each other like, "Are you believing this? Is this?" I wasn't sure he was on something or something. He was crazy as a bed bug. Hopefully he's not listening. I don't think he is. He isn't. And she just doesn't want to let go, does she? So we're gonna peel this back. Bear with me. Just gonna lighten it up. We gotta get it in the boat. We've got two. So let's get two out of here. And there it is. So we still have two, um, and I'm inclined just to probably just take them off. Yeah, I think we will. We'll just take them out, and we're out. Um, so we not all bad. We didn't get it all. We had a higher watermark. So you don't when you're trading. I hope you know you're not going to get it all, and you're not always going to get. There's no way you can't always get the high watermark. What you don't want is the low watermark. But you're not always. You're going to be playing for the middle, right? So not every drive is going to be 300 yards, right? It's not realistic, and a lot of it has nothing to do most times with your trading. It's just the market. It's just the conditions at which you're playing, or the altitude of the golf course, right? So you play golf out in Colorado, yeah. I'm going to hit the ball 290, 295 yards, maybe even 300. I might. I come back to Florida, I'm going to be back to like 260 or 245, something like that. Back to reality. And it is what it is, and I just have to play with what I have. If you're getting it done with whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. If you're not, stop, look, listen. There isn't anybody doing what we're doing. I'm sorry, there isn't. I've been around the block a few times now, and I know what's out there on the Twitter sphere. I know what's out there on YouTube. I know all those podcasters. I know what's out there, and there's nobody doing what we're doing. Nope. And they'll have some variation. There's some things. There's all sorts of things. I mean, you can be trading candles, you can be trading point and figure. We do Rinkos, custom Rinkos. We do line break. We do. You can be trading market profile. That's you see some of that. You can be doing that here. You can trade market profile. You can trade range bars, Kagis. We do. We can do all of that. Programs will work on a lot of that stuff. What we're trying to help you do is to find a set of clubs that fit you, fit your game, hopefully guide you to match your life, to the market. Don't let the market dictate your life, your trading life. That's all. You can't let the golf course control you. You can't let the market control you. And if you do, you may not know it. And then what happens is then you're running all over helter skelter, and the market is just toying the shit out of you. And so it is what it is. Folks, we're going to let you watch right up until the close. I'm going to shut up. Any questions, sing out, and we'll see you next time. Any questions, you let us know. Okay, everyone. Market is closed. The public markets are closed. The futures will run until 4:15. They'll close for 15. They'll be open for half an hour for the banks to clear up their books. We can still trade, but we're done. Our trading is done. We might do a little bit more tonight. Probably not. Um, and we'll regroup again tomorrow and see if we can add a little. And thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the question, Jay, and we wish everyone the best.